In this video, I'll just be answering some of the questions that I got on my internal transfer video. I think you all asked a lot of thoughtful questions, some more information for you, which will help you make an informed decision. Parth asks, is it realistic to get promoted to a managerial role in 2 to 3 years starting as an SDE if someone is getting transferred on an L1B visa? Hi Parth, thanks for your question. So I already replied to you in my comments, but the simple answer is yes. And in fact, what I would recommend and suggest is that with all the changes that are happening with the immigration laws in the US, it is in fact better if you try to go for that promotion, because I think now more preference is being given to higher wage employees, and I think they are trying to implement a tier-based system where the higher you are paid, the stronger your case for the H1B visa becomes. And of course, as you know, L1B visa is limited, and you can stay only for a limited time in the US on an L1B visa. And typically, you either try to get your permanent residency or you try to switch your status from or activate your H1B, which obviously happens through a lottery. So let's try all the things that can help you strengthen your case. And if that's your motive to stay back in the US for longer as well, getting a promotion is definitely the way to go. It is very realistic to get promoted in 2 to 3 years. That I feel obviously depends upon your personal efforts and of course on the circumstances of your team and your organization and your company. There is no rule that states that you cannot get promoted. However, it of course depends upon so many factors which are dependent not only on your performance but also on your employer. I hope that answers your question, but go for it. Don't worry about any impact to your immigration status, because I guess that was your initial intent of asking this question. Will it impact your visa status, or will it impact because you came as an SDE2 and now you are moving to a managerial role? I think it does not matter. It of course strengthens your case. So go for it. The next question is from Yashwant Sai. So he has a two-part question. So the first part of the question is, can you tell me, will the salary get adjusted based on purchasing power parity on your current salary? And if yes, are the savings same or more compared to Indian currency? Yashwant, thanks for your question. And of course it depends, as I told you in my comments as well, it depends upon your offer, and the salary that you get in the US is completely dependent on the labor market rate, going rate, right? So every company, and I hope when somebody who is sponsoring you as an employer, and they are supposed to meet the labor market conditions of US, so I think they will not worry too much about purchasing power parity, but what they really look at is the labor market rate. And this is something what was told to me by my HR while I was getting offered. So, but what you can do is you can do your research and you can find out that what are the typical expenses like, and what are your friends in the US who are in a similar career stage as you, how much are they making, and then you can decide whether you are getting a fair offer or not. Personally for me, of course, PPP was a factor. Of course, what savings I get at the end of the day, whether I'm making more or less as compared to what I was saving in India, all of that did matter. And then obviously I took a decision, and I'm here since the last 1 year. Overall, you need to assess your offer and decide whether with the ultimate in-hand salary that you are getting, is it something that worth giving up your cushy job in India? And for me, I did assess all those factors. And ultimately, I did do my due diligence, speaking to my network, trying to understand whether whatever I was being offered is a right level of salary or a good enough level of salary for what I was making not only for what I was making in India, but also for what somebody who is not on a visa and is working here in the US, is it a fair salary for even them? And I think both of these should be at par. Usually if your company has a good policy, they will try to give you fair market rate, and they should not try to undercut you or lowball you. And if you feel that they are trying to lowball you, or you feel that they are trying to pay you less just because you're on a visa, I would say that there's always room for negotiation in these things. So there are many ways to go about it. Just do your research. I mean, just tap into your network, and that's what I did. So more than purchasing power parity, what I would say is, are you being compensated adequately? Not only for somebody who's on a visa, but also for the career stage and the level, the number of years of experience, and the position you are being offered. I think I would give that a slightly higher priority as compared to purchasing power parity. So, and also you asked Yashwant another question, which was, will you be able to shift to any other company while working here because the visa is provided by the current employer? Unfortunately, on an L1 type of visa, employer flexibility is not possible unless and until I have a change of status and change to a different type of visa, or I get my permanent residency. And for me, I think I was willing to take up that risk. Do make a big deal about you losing your flexibility, and of course in a certain sense you do lose your flexibility on a visa, especially on an L1 visa, because you cannot change employer. However, what I feel is that, again, there are so many opportunities available even within your own company. Not having the flexibility of changing employers should not be discouraging you, because there are tons of opportunities hopefully available within your own company. Speaking from experience, while I've not changed employer after moving 1 year after moving to the US, I have in fact changed my team and changed my role. And while it is in the same job family as what was approved on my original petition, there is still some sort of flexibility that the L1 visa can afford you. However, the flexibility is definitely less as compared to if you were on an H1B or if you had permanent residency. The next question is from Wonder 2860. So Wonder, you asked, can you change your status from L1 to H1B? Of course, you can change your status from L1 to H1B, and I think that's something people prefer because that gives them more opportunity to stay in the US for longer, because L1 is limited time visa and it's only, you can renew it only for a certain number of time, and it allows you to stay and work here only for a certain number of years. So of course the natural way that people prefer is to activate H1B if they are afforded the chance. But of course, given the option as well, I would like to switch to H1B, especially with now it has become clear that the fees of $100,000 is not a recurring fees, it's a one-time fees. And I think most Silicon Valley employers and most tech employers can afford to give that fees, I think that's a positive news. So given the chance, because your follow-up question was, are you willing to do the same, like move the same from L1 to H1B? Always, it's completely a personal decision, and switching to H1B is also something that I I also have questions, or like I also have concerns about it. And the main thing is, as you know, that with H1B you get your dependent and H4 visa, and the H4 dependent visas, it doesn't come inbuilt with the EAD, employment authorization, whereas with the L2 dependent visa, it comes, you know, the EAD is, you know, automatically granted when you are on L2. So those are some of the considerations for me. Of course, the number one consideration is whether my dependent will be able to continue working in the US, which you know, because the H4 EAD processing takes such a long time. So will there be a career gap that they will have to take? That's my first consideration. And the second consideration is, of course, the one-time fees, the $100,000 fees, which has been recently imposed. So is that something my employer is willing to cover for me if I decide to switch my status from L1 to H1B? And then, of course, the third factor is, will it actually get picked up in the lottery? But given a choice, of course, I will, provided all these things are met. Those were some of the answers to your questions, and many questions were there as well. For all of that, do watch my other video, which was about how I got a job in big tech. That answers most of the other questions. So thanks for watching, and hopefully just sitting down and answering these questions helps more than me commenting on the videos. So yeah, thank you.